Okay, joining me from his room in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island is the head coach of Tiger Muay Thai, George Hickman. Thank you, George, for joining me today. I know you're in quarantine. How's the lockdown going for you?
It's not bad. We got here yesterday morning early. Um, Khalil, myself, John Boy, and Joseph Henley, one of the other guys that's with us. And John Boy and I, the boxing coach, are just enjoying the quarantine. Actually, he had me on the ab roller yesterday, so I woke up with sore set of abs this morning. But yeah, we're just we get out tomorrow morning. We just took our second COVID test this morning, and we get out tomorrow morning, I believe, around 7:30, 8 a.m. So we're excited about that.
That's nice, man. Now, I wanted to go back to talking about Thailand, Phuket, the training environment. Has it gotten better over the last couple of months, or are you guys still in lockdown, out of lockdown? What's going on with that?
So since like the initial lockdown, like back in, I guess it would be March or April, things have been like, as far as like training, our fighters, the fighters that have stayed through the lockdown, things have been pretty normal. Obviously, our numbers of fighters, it's not the same. Normally during this time, during high season, um, there may be 70 to 80 people training in one session, but obviously there's a lot less numbers right now. But as far as like training, things have been pretty normal, and COVID has been like, Thailand's been like, since the first lockdown ended, it's been virtually like the same, as normal times, obviously, except there's no tourists, or not a lot of tourists or expats. Um, but recently, actually, when I got back after UFC 256, when I was in quarantine, I don't know, maybe like a week after being in quarantine, or maybe a little bit less, they started having a resurgence of COVID in Thailand. So there's certain provinces that have gone back into like some sort of lockdown, trying to get a handle on it. So yeah, it's um it's changed a little bit, but as far as Phuket, knock on wood, there's really no cases in Phuket that we know of, and training is normal. The gym's open, things are normal. They have enforced like it kind of the rule of wearing a mask, um, over time just kind of like dwindled down, and nobody really wore a mask. Like, people still wear a mask, of course, but not like riding on motorbikes and stuff like that. But now they have changed it where it's like mandatory to wear a mask, or you can be fined and stuff. So, but other than that, I would say in Phuket things have been COVID normal.
For the fighters, do you think they have enjoyed this like restriction, this like isolation? It's usually Thailand or Phuket is isolated, but now it's extremely isolated because there's nobody being able to come back in to the country.
I would say that for the people that like are considered our fighters that have stayed through the gym, I think that they probably enjoyed being having more like one-on-one attention, and more of just like, I guess you could say, like our Tiger team members in training. Whereas normally, we have our group of people that we consider our fighters, and then you have 50 to 60 other cats, knocking about training with us. So I think that even myself, it's been nice to be able to focus more on just our fighters. But it is nice, during normal times when we have every person that has a fight coming up has a slew of different training partners that they can choose to train with. Or if I need a specific uh, body type, or a kind of a style to mimic somebody that we're coming up against, then that's pretty easy to find. Whereas during these times, it's not so easy to find.
Now you are sitting on Fight Island, and you mentioned earlier you're there with Khalil Rountree. He is facing off, or he's making his 2021 debut at UFC 257. How is Khalil looking ahead of this fight?
I would say he's in good form, man, physically and mentally. He's obviously had a long break. His last fight that he was supposed to have was, I believe, in March of last year, and we were getting ready to go to that in Ohio, and then um, you know maybe a week and a half before the fight, or 2 weeks, I think, they canceled the NBA, and not long after that, that UFC event was canceled. So it's been a long time since he's been in there. And he's trained throughout COVID in Thailand, and stayed here the whole time. And we've had plenty of time to kind of prepare for this fight. He had a good amount of time leading up to this fight that he's known about the fight and the opponent. So it's been a great training camp. Uh, I can't complain. I was kind of going a little bit towards the end, obviously being at UFC 256, but obviously, Woody, his strength coach, and John Boy, the boxing coach, and then Joseph Finley, who's been helping him with BJJ. They kind of took over the reins and stuff, and he was wrestling with my brother and stuff. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a good camp, and I jumped back in at the end, and things have been great, and now we're here finally.
Even before he got into camp, it seemed like that he was taking advantage of the time that COVID pretty much presented for him, being isolated in Phuket to work on a lot of the skills. You know what I mean? Like you said, John Boy, you got Woody, you got your brother helping him, Joseph also. Has it been a good time for him to just develop outside of just focusing on one particular opponent?
Yeah, I think that like obviously Khalil loves Muay Thai and stuff, and that's why he initially went to Thailand. So he's always been consistent with his Muay Thai training. But I'd say right before this fight camp started, or sometime before, he started doing a lot of groundwork with Joe Henley for BJJ and stuff, and then he's been consistently coming to the wrestling classes, and obviously working his boxing with John Boy as well. So I think that yeah, it's he's definitely improved in some areas where maybe people don't think that he's that strong at, and he's gotten a better understanding of positions and things on the ground, and wrestling and whatnot. So we're very pleased with where he's at going into this fight.
What are your thoughts on the matchup coming up against Marcin?
I think that it's a good matchup for us. Obviously, I'm confident in the matchup and his ability to go out there and do what we need to do. Um, but yeah, I think it's a great matchup. He's had Khalil is coming off of a loss, and so is his opponent. But I think stylistically, it's a very good matchup for us, and I look to see him to have a very good performance. Obviously, I'm not overlooking the guy. It's MMA, and it's a crazy sport. That's why I think everyone loves it. But yeah, I'm very confident going into it.
Is Khalil a type of fighter that lingers on a loss, or is he pretty good at just moving forward and not thinking about the past?
Uh, yeah, I think that at first he'll take a loss kind of hard. I think we all do, but uh, it's it's something that you can't dwell on. I think that too much, or it's gonna affect you. So you just have to let it go, and you have to get over it. And you have to, more importantly than anything, you have to learn from a loss. What do they say? You win or you learn, and it's very cliche, and I don't agree with it. But you definitely, like, the times that I lost when I was fighting, I learned a lot from those losses, and I think it helped propel me, forward more. And I think that's with a lot of fighters. If you can take away things that you didn't do right, or reasons that you may have lost, or what was going through your mind mentally, or whatever it may be. I think if you can learn from those things, because everything's all good and gravy when you're winning, and you don't, maybe sometimes people don't look at the mistakes that you've made or the things that you've done wrong in a fight when you win. But when you take a L, you really you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to be honest with yourself. So I think that yeah, I think that he's definitely learned and grown as a person throughout. Like, COVID hasn't been easy for anyone, not only as a fighter, but I think Khalil has grown, as well as a person through the last time that we saw him fight.
If you could make a prediction on this fight coming up, what do you see? How do you see Khalil taking this W?
I'm not one to make predictions. I'm very confident in our abilities. What did you say, John Boy?
First round knockout.
John Boy reckons first round knockout.
All right, so it's going to be the hands then. John Boy's confident.
Yeah, he could probably tell you the shot too.
But let's move on to the other reason you're on Fight Island. I don't know if it's the other reason, but it just opportunity sprang up, and Dan Hooker. You're going to be cornering him on the pay-per-view co-main event. I'm thinking a lot of people don't know the genesis of your guys' relationship because they're thinking like, George is the coach of Tiger Muay Thai and he's going to be cornering Dan Hooker. How does even that connect? When did you guys first meet?
I met Dan. I think I met Dan maybe in like 2014 or 2015. Like he was, I think, training at the time in Vietnam at Saigon Sports Club,
Mhm.
and he came and trained. And I didn't know him that well. We trained together and stuff, but I really met Dan when he came to Tiger for the tryouts. I believe in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, um, but he did the tryouts and obviously was picked. And I told him honestly beforehand, like he didn't have to go through that process, but he was adamant that he didn't want any special privilege. And I think that was the first time that I could say like met Dan and like got to know him, and I respected that a lot about him. But yeah, so I didn't even really know. I think until you messaged me that I was going to be cornering Dan, and yeah, so I messaged him actually, after I heard that and just said, "What you saying, lad?" And we had a small chat. And now I'm here. I talked to him a little bit earlier, and we'll link up tomorrow when I get out of quarantine.
And this is when you're still fighting when you met Dan, or was it when you're
Yeah,
already coaching?
uh, yeah. I was. It was. I think maybe I had like one more fight after I met Dan, and then I stopped. I stopped fighting after that and coaching. But yeah, Dan's man. He's obviously come a long ways from that time. He's at a different weight class, and then he moved up a weight. I remember seeing Dan like being like emaciated all the time, like walking around the gym and stuff. And now, he's gone up in weight and he's just been on a tear. And he's a guy that I've learned a lot personally from Dan about the sport of MMA and the different aspects of it. He's very knowledgeable, um, and Dan is Dan, man. Like what you see is what you get, and um, he's like one of the hardest guys I've ever met. Like Dan's one of those guys that I was telling John Boy earlier. He's one of those guys that he thoroughly enjoys. I think being in the heat of the moment, like out there. Like a lot of people fight. Not everyone. Some people are great fighters, but they don't enjoy being out there. And Dan, like he loves that, and he's one tough sob, that's for sure. And yeah, it's that was I think some southern slang for you,
Mhm.
but yeah, he's a tough fighter, and I think this is a great I think this is a great matchup for him. Obviously, Chandler has a lot of steam coming into this fight island and this this event, and yeah, I think it's a great matchup for Dan, and I look to see him do great things. It's not like I've been a part of his camp and done this or done that, but it just goes to show you like the type of guy Dan is. Like he doesn't feel like he has to have his corner come with him, and he's okay with somebody else just jumping in and holding the water bottle for him. So
It's not like you don't have any connections to city kickboxing. You and your brother are have good relationship with pretty much most of the coaches there, and you guys have cross trained. A lot of the fighters that are there right now, you have deep relationships with them, with Brad, Riddell, Kai Kara France, even with Israel. So it's not like far fetched, right? Like maybe some people might think.
no, not at all. I mean, yeah, like a lot of the guys that have been at their gym have formerly trained at Tiger, and Eugene's been to Tiger quite a few times in Israel, and um, it's just like over the last couple of years, man, it's become a great relationship, and obviously they take my brother out there to help the boys prepare for fights, and um, you know, I know all of the fighters. I was very, I'm close with Brad Riddell and Kai, and I used to help those guys and train with them. They not that I coached them, but we were training partners, and I've coached Kai and cornered him numerous times. And before Brad even started fighting MMA, I remember still like him doing like helping me shoot like wrestling breakdown videos and stuff. And yeah, it's we have a great relationship with the gym and with the coaching staff there, and it's a very good relationship, I would say. They're kind of like a brother gym to us, you could say.
What does it mean for you to have him select you? Because he could have pretty much took anybody he wanted to corner him, man, and he just thought of you. It almost seemed like it was instinct for him to just have you come in since you're already there. Does it mean, something to you extra?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was like, when I found out about it, I was like, "What?" I had to watch the interview and see it, and then and then message him. But yeah, I mean, like hearing him like say the things that he said is great. Um, but like I said, whether it was me or somebody else, like Dan's, yeah, I think it was just like a convenience thing. Like he knew that I
Mm.
was going to be here. I don't know if he, has the same relationship with anybody else that's from maybe another team or another coach here that's here, or just like he knows me better than anyone. But I think it was more of a convenience thing, and I'm more than happy to jump in there and help him, and get some trainings in with him this week, and help him any way that I can. I like Dan a lot. He's a good friend, and used to be a teammate. And, yeah, I have no worries helping him. But I just think with like the whole situation of COVID in the world right now, and obviously in New Zealand not being able to go back until his voucher is ready for him to go back, and with the other boys having the fights coming up, really big fights. I think it was just more of like a logistics thing, and I just happened to be here. So yeah, I don't think that is like any special reason why, but yeah.
Let's turn the tables to Loma. She is probably ready to fight. When can we expect her to return to the UFC cage?
Uh, Not 100% sure, but I think in the near future, we'll be able to announce something in the coming future. But yeah, hopefully,
April,
hopefully,
May, June? What do you think?
I would say one of those months. Yes.
Man, you're like Fort Knox. If everybody knows, if you know what I'm talking about, Fort Knox is like the place where you can't even crack the code.
Yeah.
George is got his cards close to his chest.
I would say one of the before June, probably.
Okay, all right. Well, George, enjoy the rest of the time on Fight Island. I know you get take advantage of the 5-star hotel, so you gotta take full advantage of that.
Yeah,
And
right now, I'm just taking advantage of the inside of this room. But yeah, tomorrow, I'm excited about going to eat breakfast and just get out and about a little bit. Because like Justin Taffa's still here. I want to go see him. And, see some people that I'm friends with and I haven't seen in a while. So it's kind of like COVID has definitely changed the world. So it's kind of cool to be able to see friends from America and some of the boys that we train as well. So
and what about Glenn? You get to see him too, right?
I hope so, man. I'm gonna message him. Maybe he can have a cheeky slide off up the elevator into the room to say goodbye before he leaves, because I think he leaves before we get out. So
All right, all right. Well, anyways, good luck to you, man, and the team, and everything, and all the best, man. I guess I'll be speaking to you in the near future.
awesome. Thank you. Kamsamida.
Take a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word.